Now we will be discussing with the topics related in your CNCC 2. Okay, CNCC 2 mainly deals with the organizing child care services. Okay, during the initial stage of childhood, probably till the first year of the child, how does the development in a child occur relating to the motor skills and the cognitive skills. This is what we are going to discuss. Okay, so unit 1 or CNCC 2 book 1 is having the introduction to child care and development under experience of childhood is your unit 1. Okay, so in this unit basically we have read that the children may have characteristics in common such as curiosity, desire to explore, playfulness, fantasy, imitation of adults, and make-believe. Many of the childhood experiences are universal, yet each child experiences childhood in a different manner because of different socio-cultural settings. Okay, one of the factors which influences the experience of childhood is gender. It determines the way a child is expected to talk, dress, behave, as well as the values inculcated in her. Okay, so basically when a child is growing up according to certain influence, for example a gender, a child is it is determined how he or she has to behave or dress up or talk, etc. Okay, boys are given more importance than girls, and this results in discrimination against girls in matter of food, clothing, education, and love and attention of parents. Okay, this is a very common thing that happens in our day-to-day social life. Okay, in some houses may still be having this problem, but in this 21st century I guess most of the houses is not having this problem. Okay, so reading on, this biasness gets pronounced when resources are scarce. The social class to which the child belongs determines the facilities and opportunities available to her. For children belonging to the lower social class, many basic needs and desires remain unfulfilled. Okay, economic necessities forces the child to work at an early age. Okay, so it is showing you how the economic condition is also affecting the child development stage. Okay, children may sometimes be working under hazardous circumstances and may be out of school. Okay, so child labor is very common for economically insufficient students. Okay, children belonging to the middle and upper social class do not lack the essentials of life, and most children attend school. Religion provides values, attitudes, and beliefs that outline a code of conduct for the type of family the child lives in, and interaction among the family members influence her development. Okay, so even the socio-economical status is also important for the development of the child. Okay, ecology has an impact on the type of skills and abilities the child acquires. Okay, so ecology is also a very important factor. Whether the child lives in rural, urban, or tribal area, near the coast, in the plains, in the hills, regions, or deserts, areas determines her lifestyle to a large extent. Okay, so people having children or people staying in different ecological area or different environmental conditions may have a different outcome in choosing the lifestyle of their children. Okay, so for example a rural child may not have the same lifestyle as that of a urban child. Okay, or a child of a hilly area may have a different lifestyle than that of the one living in the plains. Okay, so this is what the unit is discussing the overall development of a child and factors such as socioeconomical status, economical status, gender biasness, how it is affecting the development of a child. Okay. Later in the book, in this unit, you can always go through, you can open the book and it is given in more details, so you can just go through it. What I have read out, it is just a summation of what you are going to learn in the book. Okay, so we are moving on to Unit 2, Basic Concepts in Child Development. We read that the field of child development is concerned with describing and explaining the changes that take place during the course of development. Development refers to all qualitative and quantitative changes in the individual that are long-lasting, orderly, and progressive. Okay, so this is the development. This is the definition of what development means in a child. Okay. Growth, on the other hand, refers to only those changes that can be measured. Okay, so physical changes that can be measured is known as your growth. The human lifespan is divided into 5 stages. Infancy, birth to 2 years comes under your infancy. Preschool years, 2 to 6 years of age. Middle childhood, 6 to 12 years of age, and adolescence, 12 to 18 years of age. And adulthood, it goes from 18 years onwards. Okay. These stages are characterized by differences in thinking and physical, social, emotional, and language abilities of the individual. Change from one stage to other is gradual and age limits are not rigid. Okay. The various areas of development are cognitive, physical, motor, social, economical, it would be emotional and language development. So these are the various areas of development in which the child shows development as the child grows up. Okay. Personality refers to the person's characteristics, ways of relating to others, and distinctive patterns of thinking and feeling about oneself and others. Okay, the study of child development gives us an insight in human behavior and describes universal patterns of development. The average age ranges at which individual acquires specific skills help us to identify norms. Okay, these norms help us to evaluate the children's progress and plan and devise play activities for him. As the child grows up, you need to devise activities or play activities which would help you to evaluate the skills such as cognitive, physical, and motor skills in the child. Okay, so that is why we have play schools. Okay, so play schools is basically a school in which the child will have all these activities, and they help in the activities that the preschool teachers are giving to the child will help in the particular in these various areas of development. Okay. Individual differences among children help us to appreciate that every child is unique. We should be susceptible and accept that every child is unique. Okay, some of them might show a good cognitive function and some of them might show a good motor skills. Okay, this knowledge helps in day-to-day interaction with our children. So whatever the changes are occurring in the children or whatever the development they are going through, we should always be positive about it and always encourage the child to establish that development in their own particular way. Okay. So this is what unit 2 will be discussing about. So as far as we've discussed importance of the study of child development, which later also helps us in describing the universal pattern of development, explaining individual differences in the development, understanding human behavior, and application in day-to-day interaction with the children. Okay, so when you go through the book, okay, it is very smoothly described in this book, so you don't have to follow any other books, because the study material is itself capable enough for you to clear your doubts regarding this. Okay, so now we will move on to Unit 3. Unit 3 consists of your principles of development. Okay, we read about the principles of development in this particular unit. The direction of physical and motor development is governed by two principles. These are the development proceeds from head to toe and center to end. Okay, in the development proceeds from head to toe and from center to the ends. Okay, the rates of development of the various parts of the body at any one period of life are different. Okay, though there is a universal pattern in development, these are differences in the pace at which every individual develops. There are sex differences as well in the express of development. Development follows the principle of differentiation and integration. Okay, so this is basically the formula which how you can measure the development in a child. Differentiation means that development proceeds from simple to complex, from general to specific. Okay, integration means coordination of various parts to form an increasingly complex structure in a child. It also refers to coordination of different behavior patterns that results in a higher level of complexity. Both processes are involved in growth and development. In earlier unit, we have already discussed what is the differences between the growth and development. So I hope it would be more clearer to you in this particular unit. Okay, so here next we are moving on to, in the course of development, there are some periods which the child is mature, that is biologically ready to learn a particular skill. Okay, after the motor skills have been developed in the child will be particularly ready to learn a particular skill. At this time, it is important that the child has the appropriate experiences so that learning takes place. Okay, so experience is also important for learning to set on in a child. These periods are referred to as critical periods. Critical periods are the best time periods to learn. However, even after the critical period, learning can take place, but it requires more effort. Okay, it may at times be impossible to learn a skill after the critical period is over. Okay, so for various child, if the critical period is over, then it might find it difficult to learn a particular skill. Okay, environment and hereditary are two factors that influence the development. Okay, environment can be categorized as prenatal and postnatal. Postnatal environment includes physical settings and social experiences. Hereditary refers to the traits and characteristics that the child is born with. Okay, these are transmitted from the parents to the child through the genes. Okay, so hereditary and environmental factors are these which influence the development in a child. So human development is a result of the interaction between hereditary and environment. So after reading things, you will have certain check your progress exercises which you can complete on your own, so that you can understand what you have learned so far. It will be a self-evaluation for you guys, so you can always do that. Okay, so moving on to next unit, which is your needs and rights of children. Okay, so page number 43, we have needs and rights of the children. In this unit, we'll study the UN Declaration of the Rights of the Child, page number 49. Okay, so it's there in the book, so I will not read it out. You can always go through what is the UN rights of the child. Okay, then we have child care services. Okay, need for a child care service. So it is help with whom you can leave your child at home and what you expect of her to do with the child. Okay, so childs need physical care, stimulation and love from the caregiver. Okay, so the child is always needed, we have to keep that in mind. So we should always provide the child with physical care and love all the time. Okay, all these needs of the child must be met simultaneously to ensure optimal development, and it is not only the mother that should be providing this care, it is the responsibility of both parents to provide proper care and proper love to the child. Okay, usually these needs are met by the family, primarily by the mother. Okay, as discussed earlier, the family provides an optimal environment for the development of the child. However, these needs of the child can also be met by person outside the family. For many children in the world, basic needs are neglected. Okay, there are some situations in which we tend to not listen to the child or what the child is trying to convey. So this might lead to a distant emotional distance between you and the child, and it might simultaneously hamper the cognitive development of the child. Okay, recognition of this fact and the realization that this must be remedied led to the Declaration of the Rights of the Child in 1959, the directive principles of the Indian Constitution and the national policy for children adopted by the Indian government provide guidelines for ensuring a happy childhood for all children. Okay, a safe haven is what a child needs at the end of the day. The fact that an increasing number of women have started working outside the home has made it necessary to provide creches. Preschool prepare the child for normal schooling and foster all-round development. Creches and preschool should meet the child's need for health care, nutrition and stimulation. Okay, so these is what constitutes of the needs and rights of a children. Now we move on to unit 5, which is your importance of play in development. Okay, so what does play promote? Play promotes the cognitive development, it promotes imagination and creativity, it also promotes the physical and motor development in the child, and it helps in acquiring language. Okay, because when you're playing, you generally don't play alone. Okay, so you play with many other children, so it helps in acquiring language. Your friends, they might not be of the same language speaking background as you are, so when they speak, you can acquire their language. You can also acquire certain good habits and also certain bad habits. So we will not focus on the bad habits here, we will only be talking with the one which is helping in the development of the child. Okay, through play the child learns to socialize. Okay, so socio-economic behavior or social empathy, it is how it is developing in the child by the method of playing. Okay, so play helps in emotional development as well. Okay, so play as means of understanding child's development. So these are what helps, what are the benefits of play in the development of a child. Next we go to play and learning in infancy through development, thought development, thought activity. Okay, So thought development in a child, how is it done? Okay, so we already know that play has an important role in children's development. It leads to discovery and learning, fosters imaginations, and helps to develop social, emotional, physical, and language skills. Play is the best medium of learning for children because they enjoy it. In play, children learn by doing, and this also helps retain their attention to one activity. So this is a factor which is very important in order to in order to get the attention of the child. Okay, so during infancy it is only through play that learning takes place. Okay, so we have seen, if you've seen certain videos in YouTube right now, it is available, or even at play schools, if you might see, in infancy playing is the only learning technique which we prefer in an infant child. Okay, and in case of preschoolers, it is the medium of play through which they will get this emotional bonding and socializing. Okay, they learn their motor skills. Motor skills is involving your hands, shoulders, legs. Okay, it's basically the kinetic skills that the child is possessing is your motor skills. Cognitive means thinking ability. Okay, they will be able to imagine certain characters. Okay, maybe it can be their favorite cartoon character or an imaginary friend or something like that. So these are all playing. Okay, so that is why in play schools we have role plays. So there is an act performance, you have dancing, you have storytelling. Okay, storytelling is also one play method in which the imagination increases. Okay, so this is what it is doing with here. So next, moving on to all children play. However, the age, gender, social class, ecology, cultural and media influences the kind of play activities children choose. Okay, so according to the age, gender, social class and ecology, culture and media influence, there are various plays that a child will choose. Okay, play is also determined by the space, time and materials available for the same. Okay, so if certain things are not available for the child, then the child cannot play. Okay, so for example, in order to draw, if you don't have something to draw, then the child cannot draw. Okay, a factor more important than any of the ones mentioned above is the quality of experiences available to the child. Okay, so a proper caregiver can provide with numerous number of plays, plays or things to be played with to the child, and if the caregiver is not experienced, then the child will also suffer the same. Okay, a caregiver who is aware of the importance of play activities for children can provide an environment conducive to play irrespective of her economic status, educational background and ecological setting. Okay, so with this we come to an end of your CNCC 2 part 1. Okay, so we have covered so far the experience of childhood, basic concepts of child development, principles of development, needs and rights of children and importance of play in the development. So in next video we will be doing, or we will be discussing CNCC 2 book 2. Okay, CNCC 2 book 2. Here we are going to cover topics of development in the first 12 months, that is the first year of the child. Okay, prenatal development and care, physical, motor and sensory development, cognitive development, the emergence of thought. Okay, when does the thought rise in the child, language development or learning to speak, socio-economical development or the early relationship, play activities for fostering development. Okay, so play activities we have studied in the earlier book as well. Here also it is including the same. So let us discuss starting with unit 6. Okay, prenatal development and care. Okay. Development of the baby within the mother's womb. Conception occurs when the sperm unites with the egg to form a single cell called the zygote. Okay, this is the first cell of a human being. Development from conception till birth takes around 9 months. The period of prenatal development is usually divided into 3 stages. The period of the ovum, which lasts from conception to 2 weeks. The period of the embryo, which lasts from the 3rd week after conception to the 8th week, and the period of the fetus, which begins from the 9th week and lasts till birth. The period of the embryo and the early fetal period, that is the period up to 12 weeks after conception, is a critical period, since this is the time when the major organs and systems of the body are being formed and are developing at a fast rate. At this time, the embryo is vulnerable to harmful influences. If the mother has an illness, okay, takes drugs, ingests some harmful chemicals, or has an accident, it may cause irreversible damage to the developing baby. Okay, so care should be taken so as the mother does not have any illness, or she does not take any drugs or ingest some harmful chemicals when she is basically pregnant. Okay, so this is how prenatal care is done for the first stage. Okay, the fetus derives its food supply and oxygen from the mother's blood via the placenta and the umbilical cord. Okay, the umbilical cord also carries the waste products and carbon dioxide from the fetus's blood to the placenta, from where it diffuses to the mother's bloodstream. The 7th month of gestation is an important period in prenatal development. By this time, all the systems of the body have developed and are functioning so that if the child is born prematurely, she can survive. Okay, if the child is born before 7 months, it is likely that the child may not survive. Okay, why? Because the organ development has not been properly done. It is important to have a trained person during birth, whether the delivery is conducted at home or in the hospital, so that the health of the mother and the baby is ensured. The child is born with well-developed capability of hearing, smell, and vision and touch. Research has shown that the capabilities of hearing and vision are developed even before birth. The excretory, digestive and circulatory systems are also working during the prenatal period. Okay. So, it is important that the mother take care of herself during pregnancy. She must maintain good health, eat enough food to take care of the increasing nutritional needs, and remain relaxed and happy. Okay. Anger, tear and tension lead to release of hormones and other chemical substances in her body that may harm the child. These may harm the fetus. Okay. All these factors of care of the mother are important because they can affect the development of the fetus. Okay, so these are certain factors or certain things which is included in your prenatal development and care. It is important to maintain the health of the child, but it is also important to maintain the health of the mother. Okay, moving on to next unit, physical, motor and sensory development. Okay, so table 7a, page number 16. Okay, these are certain tables, some reflexes of the infant's name, description, age of onset and disappearance. It's given there, so you can always go through the table. Okay, Physical, motor and sensory development in the first year of life. Okay. Neonate adapts and adjusts to her environment. The newborn is not helpless. She has fairly well developed sensory capabilities. She can see, hear, smell, taste and feel touch. Her cheeks and jaws are also specially formed to suck. Okay. Basically the milk. The infant is born with a collection of involuntary response to stimuli referred to as reflexes, and these help her to survive. Okay. The neonate can see objects clearly when they are at a distance of 8 to 10 centimeters, 8 to 10 inches from her face. She can recognize the mother's voice in the very first week after birth. Okay. So these are some motor sensory development in the child. The baby should be fed on breast milk from the first day of life, not only because it meets a nutritional requirement, but also it helps in the development and emotional bond between the mother and the child. The diet of the lactating mother should also be given due attention, as already discussed in your CNCC 1, the nutritional, maintaining the nutritional status of a lactating mother. So this is why by the time the child is 1 month, she has adapted to her environment and rapid development takes place in all areas. The infant gains in height and weight. At the end of the first year, the child weighs 8 to 9 kgs and gains 10 to 12 inches of height. Okay. The development of the brain is rapid, and this period is crucial for development of the nervous system as well. At birth, the baby's head is big in proportion to the rest of the body. Over the first year, this proportion also changes. Why? Because the body also develops. The legs and torso grow in size, the bones harden and the muscles develop. Okay, these developments help the child to acquire the motor skills. Okay. So, next we move on. During the first year, the infant learns to control the movements of her head, arms, legs and acquire various motor skills. She can roll over on her back. She can sit, crawl, stand and then walk. Okay. She also learns to coordinate the movement of her hand and eyes and thus grasp things. Okay. So, this is your motor skills. Carries them to her mouth. Hand to mouth coordination is what we call this, and transfers them from one hand to another and gradually learns to pick and manipulate small objects. The infant's sensory abilities also develop. She is able to differentiate between various objects and identify emotions on the mother's face. Okay, so the ability to judge the direction of sound also improves. She learns to discriminate between various sounds, which will help her to learn language. The development of physical, motor and sensory abilities is crucial for development in other areas. Physical growth is to a large extent determined by maturation. Okay, according to maturation, the physical growth occurs. At the same time, opportunities to practice motor skills are also important. The caregiver has an important role in that she must plan and conduct activities to promote sensory and motor development. Infants should be immunized regularly and their growth should be periodically checking using growth charts. Supplementary food should begin with the child when the child is around 4 months old. Breastfeeding should preferably continue till the child is 18 to 12 months. So it is preferable for the child to continue breastfeed till 12 to 18 months of their age. Okay, so immunization here occurs. It is given in your book. So what are the proper immunization, vaccines and all that are there? You can read it in your books. So we will move on to another unit, that is your unit 8 for cognitive development and the emergence of thought. Okay. How the child's thinking capabilities develop during the first year of life. Okay, so we're going to discuss here. Cognitive development is concerned with how the child comes to know about her surroundings and how her thinking becomes more complex with time. Okay, cognitive development refers to the development of thinking capacities. Cognition involves many mental processes such as learning, memory, symbolizing, concept formation, reasoning, discrimination, association, limitation, and problem solving. Okay, so these are what comprises of your mental processing. So this is what includes your cognition and cognitive development in a child. As the infant grows, okay, her thinking changes, so that at each level the nature of the child's thought is different. Okay, at each stage the child deals with situation in keeping with her level of thinking. As she grows, the infant also gains more information about the surroundings. Okay, so this is the basic thing that you need to know. So as the child ages, okay, she will have different approach, or she will have different thinking. Her thinking will change. Okay, and if as an infant she gains more information from her surrounding, then it will also definitely affect her thinking capability as well. Okay, so according to Piaget, the first stage in cognitive development is the sensory motor period, which lasts till 2 years of age. During this period, the infant understands events and experiences using her senses and motor capacities. She is not able to think in terms of concept. During the first 2 years, she is not able to think in terms of concept. She will either have this, she will just have the sensory motor skills. Okay. By the end of this period, the infant develops a fairly good understanding of her surrounding. She recognizes many people, understands that her action can have an effect, and develop an idea of what she is capable of doing. Okay, so what happens is memory will grow, language will develop, and infant is able to plan her actions. She learns why things happen the way they are happening and forms an idea about the world around her. Okay, so this is what we are dealing with in Unit 8. Now moving on to Unit 9, we have language development or learning to speak. Okay, so how does a child learn to speak, and what are the influences of the language learning? So language is a system that consists of symbols, that is words, okay, that stand for particular objects, relationships, actions and feelings. Through language we can transmit and understand an infinite variety of messages. Language helps us to communicate with each other and relate socially to people. It aids in the development of thought and plays an important role in perception and memory. Okay. Every normal human child learns a native language during the course of growing. So this is very common, we already know that. To learn a language, the infant must be able to discriminate between various speech sounds, as she is skilled in doing so from the time she is born. We have an inborn tendency to learn the sounds of human language. The stages of language acquisitions are universal. However, there are individual differences in the age at which each child requires a particular stage. Initially, the baby communicates through crying. By 1 month of age, she begins to make cooing sounds. Okay, babbling is common between 6 and 10 months, and the infant utters her first word around her first birthday. She is, however, able to understand quite a few words before this period. This infant relies on the gestures of the adult. Okay, so they are very much capable of doing the face reading, because the emotions that we portray in our faces is easily read by the child. Okay, their expressions and the context of the situation to understand what they are saying. The infant is skilled in turn taking, a prerequisite for any dialogue between people. Okay, so this is something very cute that the child does. So we should always help them to, or encourage them to speak or to do certain things when they are showing an initiative. Okay, as in any other aspect of development, the biological and environmental factors continuously interact to influence the development of language. Caregivers play an important role in helping the infant acquire language. They keep the language simple while talking to her and use an exaggerated tone while speaking. When the infant is around 4 to 5 months old, they show objects to her, when she is around 7 to 8 months old, the adults begin to comment about what is going on around her. When a little later, they encourage the infant to pronounce words. In this way, the infant learns to recognize the sound and the meaning of word and acquires language. Okay, so with this, we come to an end to language and development, learning to speak. In your book, it is more properly given, so you can always read through it. Okay, I don't think so you will be having any problem in understanding. Socio-economic emotional development. Okay, so unit 10 is comprising of your socio-economic emotional development. So it is basically how an attachment happens for a child. Okay, so we are going to discuss that. Infant forms relationship with people in the first year of life. The infant needs care and nurturance if she is to survive. Okay, she effectively elicits care from adults. She is able to communicate and interact with them. It may be a little difficult to believe that the infant has a collection of behavior that helps her to attract the attention of the adults. She gazes, smiles, babbles, imitates and cries, all of which evoke adult response. Okay, so these are what a child does in order to get the attention of an adult. Her perceptual skills are also adapted for social interaction. Just as infants devise ways of communication, the adults also have behaviors that facilitate their interactions with her. The speech of the adult, their facial expressions, head movements, smiling and gazing draw the infant's attraction. Okay, so if you have a positive response to the child, it will be drawing the child towards you as well. So it is, equally same effect happens if a child does the same thing to you and you do the same thing to the child. Okay, through daily interactions during feeding, bathing, playing and taking an emotional and talking, an emotional bond forms between the mother and the child. This attachment of the infant to her primary caregiver is her first emotional relationship, and it has an important role to play in the child's personality development. An infant who forms a secure attachment with the mother trusts people and forms other attachments. An infant who does not have a loving relationship with the caregiver in the first year of life learns to distrust people and avoid social contact. Okay, so emotional and social response of a child to the caregiver is is the most important relationship that should be maintained between the child and the caregiver, because depending on that, the child will learn to distrust or trust people in later stages of life. Okay, Another reason why it is important for the infant to develop trust is that it influences her exploratory behavior. Okay, an infant who is attached to a person approaches her in distress, smiles and gazes more at her, seeks her attention and becomes upset when she is separated from her. Okay, so this is how a child's emotional development happens. She will seek her more and more. Okay, towards the end of the first year, the child begins to form attachments with other people who interact daily with her, such as brothers and sisters, grandparents, uncles and aunts. So this is how the attachment occurs and at what stages it occurs. Okay, so the initial at the first age, at the first year, it is more attachment with the caregiver. It can be her mother, okay, or it can be caregiver who the mother has appointed, and in later after the first year she will slowly have more interaction with her brothers and sisters or grandparents, and then she will have more attachment towards them after the first year. Okay, the newborn has two emotional expressions, delight and distress. Other emotions like fear and anger emerge during the first year. The infant shows stranger anxiety and separation anxiety. Okay, so with this we come to an end of the development of social emotional behavior in a child. Next we move on to play activities for fostering development, which is your unit 11. Okay, so attitudes of the caregiver: she should be sensitive, she should make the child confident, flexibility should be there, and child-centeredness should always be there. Okay, interacting with parents, skills of the caregiver. Okay, so depending upon the skills of the caregiver, okay, the rate of development in a child will be administered. Okay, so reading on from play activities. So this this chapter will consist of certain activities, or you can just read through it. So what are the activities that are there which will help in interaction with the parents or anybody else who is throwing the activities to them? Okay, it can be the mother or the parents, or it can be the caregiver. Okay, so can just read through it. There are certain activities based on the age group which has been divided here, so you can always read through it in the book. This unit will describe the kind of play material and activities appropriated for infants. The play materials must be attractive, it has to be safe, appropriate for the age of the child, and economical. Okay, so economy is also a big factor. The activities described in this unit are based on the abilities of the infant at a particular age. Again, the neonate needs to be held, comforted and soothed as she is adjusting to the new environment. Gradually, the caregiver can plan activities to help in sensory and motor development. As the infant begins to crawl, a wide variety of material and experiences can be provided to her. The aim of this play activity should be to foster the overall development of the child. Okay, so this is what we actually discussed in CNCC 1 as well. Okay, so the play activities are certain activities which helps in the learning of the child. Okay, through learning we can also establish the emotional bonding between the parent and the child, and also that with the caregiver. Okay, so she will be portraying signs of trustment. Okay, so when she's doing that, you need to be patient with the child. Okay, you need to give her time to adjust to the new environment, and yes, patience is the key to everything. Okay, because and the activities that you are trying, to conduct with the child should be child-centered. Okay, it should not be something so complicated that the child cannot do. Okay, so you should always keep that in mind, that you're dealing with the child, and the activities or the play methods should be according to her age, or should be according to her capabilities. Okay, so with this we come to an end of CNCC book. So book 3 will be development during toddlerhood. Okay, increase in mobility and control. Cognitive development is towards mental representation and symbolic thinking. Okay, language development from words to sentences. Socioeconomical development is expanding of relationship and the emerging self. Okay, so they will be more confident, and their mobility and control will be better, and they will have better cognitive development. That means development in thinking, development in recreation, creativity. Okay, anything like that. Language development, it will be from words to sentences, where they will only using small words, like for mother they will call ma, or baba they'll call ba, or dada they'll call da. Okay, so here they will be talking in full sentences. Okay, like what is your name, and where do you live. So they will be able to learn all this, and they will be able to reply to certain questions that will be setting out to them, or the questions that will be done to them in their school life. Okay, because toddlers, when they are toddlers, they will be basically going to a preschool. Okay, so that is what they will learn out there. And there are certain, again there will be play activities which will be defined according to their age. Okay, so they will be, now they will have running, they'll have jumping. Okay, they will be like tailing the donkey. Okay, coloring, and all these things will come into action. 4, we will have development during preschool years. Okay, developing physical strength and motor coordination. There is a game we play, that is Ringa Ringa Roses. Okay, so that also shows the physical strength and the motor coordination of the child. Okay, because what happens in the game, they hold hands and they form a circle, and they go round and round in the circle. So that is also quite effective. Then as I've already discussed, a bit more complex games than the toddlerhood. Okay, you can give them simple basic home games, like separating the peas. Okay, if you set out peas and then you set out cut carrots, okay, you can tell them to separate it out according to the color and according to the shape. Okay, because carrot is orange in color and peas are green in color. So this is what they can do. These are simple, easy home activities that can be set up to a child. Okay, so, and they can for the better motor skills, they can try pulling as well. Okay, pulling various colored strings, they can pull. Okay, and cognitive abilities and understanding concepts, here it will come preschool dramas and all, where they will have dramas in which they play a certain character. It does not need to be perfect, but the imagination of the child is what is mattering here. Okay, so imagining to be a prince or a princess and taking part in the play, becoming a tree, becoming a rabbit, or something like that. Okay, so it helps them to understand certain things, distinguish between animals as well. Okay, and enhancing language skills, talking in full sentences like the ones the toddlers are doing. In preschools also they will talk in a full sentences, rather than saying yes or no. They will say, you will have them to talk like in full sentences. If you are asking a child like, do you want to have food, then they should be saying, yes, I want to have food, instead of saying yes. Just yes is a word and I want to have food is a full word. Okay, so this is how you enhance the language skills. Okay. Social relationship and child rearing. The disciplinary technique used by a parent to socialize the child have a strong impact on her personality. Affection-oriented techniques, which rely on reasoning with the child to foster the desired behavior and appeal to the child's sense of responsibility, have a beneficial impact. While power-oriented techniques, which rely on threatening the child or withholding privileges without explanation, can be harmful. Okay, so this is what I was discussing few minutes earlier. The former technique promotes internalization of moral values and enhances the child's sense of personal responsibility. Okay, so the more affection-oriented technique that the parent throws toward a child, it would be better for the development of the child mentally and also physically as the child grows. Okay. Of all the forms of punishment, physical punishment is often the most harmful to the child. When the parent does not explain the reason for the punishment or is inconsistent, then the child may begin to resent the parent. She does not internalize the rules. Excessive punishment can lower the child's self-esteem and generate anxiety. If punishment is used judiciously, it can lead the child away from undesirable behavior. Besides the disciplinary techniques, the parenting style influences the child's personality. One can broadly speak about 4 styles of parenting: firm and affectionate parenting, rigid and inflexible parenting, permissive parenting, and neglect in parenting. Firm and flexible parenting techniques foster the most positive combinations of skills in the child. Okay, so these are the certain parenting techniques that the parent should follow when they are dealing with the child. Children show empathy and altruism frequently during the preschool years. As they are better able to see another's point of view, they respond to the person's distress suitably. Affection-oriented techniques of discipline foster the development of empathy and pro-social behavior. Like aggression, there are trials that are fairly stable over time. Okay, the interaction with peers become more meaningful during the preschool years. Preschoolers begin making friends. Playmates for the child are peers whom she sees most frequently, and friendship involves sharing toys and play material. During the preschool years, the nature of playing changes from both the cognitive and the social point of view. Okay? As the child's social and cognitive skills mature, she spends more time in cooperative play and less in solitary play. So with this, I'd like to end the CNCC Organizing Child and Care Services. The study materials will provide with all essential details or notes which you want to pursue. So I encourage all of you to go through the books. If you do not understand anything, make it a point to ask to the teachers. Okay, you have your own personal groups, and you can also comment. So I will always be there to help you. So with this, I'd like to end the session. Thank you.